Family, let me tell you something that most people miss when they're chasing success. It's not that they don't have the ability. It's not that they don't have the talent. It's that they give up right at the edge of their breakthrough. The very moment things are about to shift, they walk away because it feels like nothing is happening. But here's the truth. Most breakthroughs don't come in the beginning. They come in the middle of the struggle. The seed doesn't sprout the day you plant it. The harvest doesn't come the day you sow. There's a waiting season. And in that waiting season, your faith is tested. Quitting too soon is like digging up the seed because you don't see the roots forming underground. You don't realize that growth is already happening where your eyes can't see. Now let's lock into 3 keynotes that will help you push through the point where most people quit. Pressure is one of the greatest indicators that something extraordinary is about to happen in your life. Too often, people misinterpret pressure as a sign to stop, a reason to give up, or evidence that they're on the wrong path. But family, pressure is not the enemy. It's the evidence you're close. It's the proof that you've stepped out of your comfort zone and into the territory where growth and transformation happen. Nothing valuable is produced without pressure. Diamonds don't form in open air. They are created deep beneath the earth under intense heat and crushing weight. Gold doesn't come out of the ground shining and refined. It must go through the fire to be purified. If the most precious materials in creation require pressure to reveal their true value, why would it be any different for you? The moment life feels heavy, when everything inside of you says, "This is too much," that's not a sign of failure. That's not a sign that you're on the wrong path. That is the signal that transformation is near. Because the process always gets the hardest right before the breakthrough. Think about it like this. A woman in labor feels the most intense pain not at the beginning of her pregnancy, but in the final stage right before new life is birthed. The pain isn't punishment, it's proof that what she's been carrying is ready to be revealed. Pressure works the same way in your destiny. When you feel that heaviness, when the resistance is strong, it's because something greater is about to be born through you. The mistake too many people make is running from pressure. They interpret difficulty as danger instead of destiny. They back away when they should lean in. But what if you change your perspective? What if you start to see pressure not as opposition, but as confirmation? Every challenge, every obstacle, every sleepless night is proof that you are on the right track. If it wasn't valuable, there wouldn't be resistance. If it wasn't powerful, it wouldn't be under attack. The presence of pressure means that what you're building matters. See, pressure has an assignment in your life. Its job is not to break you, it's to shape you. It pushes you to dig deeper, to think more creatively, to pray more fervently, to discipline yourself beyond your comfort zone. Without pressure, you'd never unlock your potential. Without pressure, you'd stay in the shallow waters of life, never discovering the depth of strength and ability you carry inside. But pressure forces you to rise. It demands that you grow. And if you embrace it instead of running from it, you'll come out stronger, wiser, and prepared for the very thing you've been pursuing. Now let's be real, pressure doesn't feel good. Nobody wakes up saying, I can't wait to be stretched today. I can't wait for the weight of life to come crashing down on me. But here's the key. Just because it doesn't feel good doesn't mean it's not working for your good. Growth rarely feels comfortable. Transformation rarely feels easy. The cocoon feels like confinement to the caterpillar, but it's the only way the butterfly gets wings. The soil feels like a grave to the seed, but it's the only way it can sprout into new life. Your pressure is not burying you, it's planting you. And when you're planted, growth is inevitable. Family, I want you to remember this: the pressure you're facing right now is not permanent. It is temporary, but it is purposeful. It's preparing you for something greater than where you are today. You may feel like quitting. You may feel like the weight is too much to carry. But if you give up under pressure, you forfeit the promise that pressure was pushing you toward. Don't run from it. Lean into it. Let it refine you. Let it sharpen you. Let it pull out of you the strength you didn't even know was there. So the next time life feels heavy, when your dream feels impossible, when it seems like you can't take another step, I want you to shift your perspective. Don't curse the pressure. Thank God for it, because it means you're close. It means that your next level is right around the corner. Pressure is not the end. It's the evidence. It's the universe's way of whispering to you, keep going. You're almost there. The weight you feel is not meant to crush you. It's meant to crown you. And when you refuse to quit under pressure, you won't just survive it. You'll come out shining, refined, and more valuable than ever before. Would you like me to do the same expansion for the other 2 steps? Consistency compounds and faith fuels the finish. So you have a complete long-form speech draft in Myron Golden's flow. If there is one principle that separates those who dream about success from those who experience it, it is this consistency. Most people underestimate the power of showing up daily. They want results, but they want them fast. They want the harvest without the planning, the reward without the repetition, the outcome without the process. But here's the truth. Results don't come instantly. They come eventually. And what bridges the gap between your effort and your reward is consistency. Consistency is the great multiplier. Every small action compounds over time, even when it looks insignificant in the moment. Every call you make in your business, every page you write toward your book, every workout in the gym, every prayer whispered in faith, it's all stacking up. The problem is, because progress in the beginning is invisible, most people quit before they ever see the return. They don't realize that the consistency they abandoned was the very thing that would have created momentum. Think about compound interest in finance. If you deposit a small amount of money into an account and leave it there, at first it feels like nothing is happening. The growth is so small, it's almost invisible. But give it time, give it years of compounding, and suddenly that small deposit turns into exponential wealth. The principle is the same in life. Every act of discipline, every step of obedience, every repetition of the right behavior, it all compounds. The reward may not show up on day one, or even year one, but when it arrives, it looks like an overnight success. The truth, it wasn't overnight at all. It was years in the making, built one consistent decision at a time. The enemy of consistency is impatience. We live in a microwave culture that expects instant gratification. We want to plant the seed today and eat the fruit tomorrow, but nature itself teaches us a different rhythm. You don't harvest in the same season you sow. You don't reap without watering, nurturing, and waiting. Consistency is the bridge between sowing and reaping. It is the daily act of faith that says, I believe my small actions matter, even when I can't yet see the results. Here's what's powerful about consistency. It doesn't just build results, it builds character. Showing up daily when it's boring, when it's hard, when nobody's watching, that's where your strength is formed. That's where discipline gets locked into your DNA. Consistency is what separates amateurs from professionals, dabblers from masters, talkers from achievers. It's not talent alone that creates greatness. It's talent applied consistently over time. Let me give you an example. Think about a tree. When you plant a seed, you don't see anything on the surface for a long time. Underneath the soil, the roots are spreading, the foundation is being built. But to the eye, it looks like nothing is happening. If you didn't understand the process, you might think your seed is dead. But if you keep watering, if you stay consistent, eventually a sprout breaks through the soil. And then, year after year, that tree grows taller, stronger, and bears fruit. But it only happens because someone stayed consistent long enough to let the unseen work become visible. Family, let me tell you this, the people you admire, the people you think are lucky, the ones who seem to have success falling into their laps, it wasn't luck. It was consistency. It was years of doing the right thing when no one was applauding, of making the calls that went unanswered, of practicing when nobody was watching, of believing when there was no evidence. What you see as success is just the visible fruit of invisible consistency. Now here's the challenge. Will you stay consistent when it looks like it's not working? Will you keep showing up when the applause is gone, when the results are delayed, when the progress is invisible? Because that's where most people fall off. They confuse silence with absence. They think the lack of visible results means nothing is happening. But in reality, every act of consistency is building momentum underground, getting ready for a breakthrough above ground. The compound effect doesn't show up overnight, but when it hits, it changes everything. Suddenly, the business that was crawling starts running. The skill you struggled with becomes second nature. The habits you built without fanfare begin to transform your future. And people will look at you and call it an overnight success. But you'll know the truth. It wasn't overnight. It was the power of consistency compounding day after day, year after year. So don't despise small beginnings. Don't quit because progress feels slow. Don't measure your destiny by what you see today. Instead, commit to consistency. Show up daily. Water your seed. Honor the process because consistency compounds, and when it does, the results will be greater than anything you could imagine. Would you like me now expand the final step, faith fuels the finish, into the same 700-word section? So you'll have all three parts ready for a complete long-form Myron Golden-style keynote speech. There comes a point in every journey where the strength of your body, the sharpness of your mind, and the size of your resources are no longer enough. You've done all you can do. You've worked, you've tried, you've sacrificed, and still you don't see the results you've been waiting for. This is the place where many people quit. They walk away because they can't see the evidence of progress. But family, this is exactly where faith steps in. Faith is not just a nice idea. It is the fuel that carries you across the finish line when everything else in you says, stop. Faith is the bridge between the work you've been doing and the reward that's waiting. Without faith, you can start, but you can't finish. You can put in effort, but you won't endure. You can build for a while, but the moment it looks like nothing is working, you'll abandon the mission. That's why faith is critical. It keeps you moving when your eyes can't yet see the outcome. Faith whispers, keep going. What you're working on is already working for you, even if you can't see it yet. Let's get something straight. Faith is not denial. Faith doesn't pretend the struggle isn't real. Faith doesn't close its eyes to the difficulty. No, faith acknowledges the challenge, but chooses to believe that the challenge is not the end. Faith says, yes, it's hard. Yes, I feel tired. Yes, it looks impossible. But I know something greater is at work on my behalf. That's the power of faith. It gives you the courage to keep moving forward when logic says turn back. Imagine running a marathon. At the halfway mark, your legs burn, your lungs ache, and everything inside of you says, quit. It's not worth it. But the finish line is not visible yet. It's further down the road. The only thing that gets you through that invisible stretch between exhaustion and triumph is faith. Faith tells you that the finish line exists even when you can't see it. Faith gives you the stamina to take the next step and the next and the next until what you believed in finally comes into view. Here's the danger. When you stop believing, you stop building. The finish line doesn't come to the quitter. It only comes to the one who refuses to stop. Too many people abandon their dreams, not because they lack the skill, not because they lack the opportunity, but because they lack the faith to finish. They let discouragement convince them that their effort was wasted, when in reality they were closer than they realized. They quit digging 3 feet away from gold. They stopped pressing right before the breakthrough. Faith is not just about holding on. It's about moving forward. It is active, not passive. It doesn't sit back waiting for something to change. It keeps sowing, keeps building, keeps speaking, keeps expecting. Faith understands that the unseen is more powerful than the seen. Just because you can't measure progress with your eyes doesn't mean progress isn't happening. Seeds sprout in the soil before they ever break through the surface. Dreams develop in the dark before they ever shine in the light. Faith trusts the unseen process until it produces a visible promise. And here's the beautiful thing about faith: it multiplies your effort. When you work with faith, your labor is not in vain. Your tears, your prayers, your sacrifices, they are all deposits into a future you cannot see yet, but one day will hold in your hands. Faith turns pain into purpose, delays into preparation, obstacles into opportunities. Without faith, the journey drains you. With faith, even the struggle strengthens you. So, family, let me remind you, the finish line is not for the faint-hearted. It's not for the one who starts strong but loses faith halfway. It's for the one who refuses to stop, the one who says, I don't see it yet, but I know it's working for me. That's the declaration of faith. Faith fuels the finish because it anchors you to the promise even when the process tries to break you. The truth is, you may not know how close you are right now. You may be on mile 25 of a 26-mile race, but if you let discouragement convince you to stop, you'll never taste the victory that was already prepared for you. That's why faith matters. It keeps you moving until you cross the line. And once you do, you'll look back and realize that faith didn't just get you to the finish. Faith shaped you into the kind of person who could handle the victory once it arrived. So don't let go. Don't stop believing. Don't quit in the middle of the dark, because the light is closer than you think. When your strength runs out, let your faith carry you. When your sight is clouded, let your faith guide you, because faith fuels the finish. And if you refuse to quit, your reward will meet you on the other side of perseverance. And now you've got all three expanded steps: pressure, consistency, faith ready. Would you like me to blend them into a seamless full keynote speech draft, about 20-25 minutes of spoken time with an intro and closing punchline, so it